That's one of the arguments that the Republicans and supporters of Donald Trump say, that Kamala Harris is not speaking about what she would do for the US economy. She's been going back to her roots, about her African American roots, the Indian roots, about the glass ceiling, about abortion, all of that taken into consideration. But she doesn't speak, and she doesn't speak forcefully and convincingly about what her plan, her vision is for the American economy.
Well, I think the Biden-Harris agenda has been to invest in green energy, to invest in infrastructure, to make these generational investments, because not only do our communities need them, but they create tons of great jobs. They're jobs doing useful things that America needs to go into the 21st century and to basically evolve and become competitive internationally. So that has been the Democratic plan, and she has emphasized that. She's also emphasized putting caps on costs to go after the grocery industry or other industries that are gouging consumers on the price of basic necessities like food. In addition to that, she wants to cap healthcare costs, like the cost of insulin, which Biden was able to accomplish to some degree this past term. I mean, the contrast couldn't be clearer. Trump is talking about imposing a 10% or more tariff on all goods entering the United States, and then some special tariffs from China. That is a tax. That's a tax on consumers. It will only make the effects of inflation worse. It's anti-free trade. It's anti-international relationships. And so I think the contrast on the economy could not be clear. And what you're seeing is that the polling indicates that for the first time in a while, voters are trusting Democrats on the economy more than Republicans. Republicans used to think that the economy was their sandbox, the place where they had a stranglehold on public opinion. But that is changing. And I think it just goes to show how erratic Trump is and how bad his policies truly are for the United States.
Josh, can I also then ask you, the fact that you listed out all of these plans by the Biden administration and Kamala Harris, have they been somewhere overshadowed by conversations on Kamala Harris's roots, on where she comes from, what her bringing up was, how she plans to go about abortion? Of course, that is something that has been talked about a lot. She's championed the cause almost. But do you think that all of these issues have been overshadowed by the personality, the roots, the origin of Kamala Harris?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that the Republicans would like for those topics to overshadow, because Republicans are hyper-focused on all the things that make people different. They don't trust diversity. Trump at the National Association of Black Journalists was saying that Kamala Harris only recently became Black. That's a very offensive and racist thing to say. I mean, she's both Black and she's South Asian in origin. And so, this distrust of mixed race people, this distrust of people who aren't like us, it kind of dovetails with the xenophobia regarding immigration in general. I mean, Trump has said that immigrants, quote, poison the blood of our country, which is an insane thing to say. So that's the attempt by the Republican Party to make those topics predominate instead of focusing on the kitchen table issues like how families can afford groceries, whether they have access to healthcare, whether our roads and bridges are being fixed so that we can drive around in our communities. Those are the issues that Democrats are focusing on, and Republicans are trying to change the subject to Kamala Harris's origins.
Okay. Narendra Reddy, you come from Georgia. You both come from Georgia. And Georgia is the Sun Belt state. It's a swing state. Before Joe Biden pulled out of this race, you had Donald Trump leading the opinion polls. But since Kamala Harris was announced, there has been a neck-and-neck competition between the two. How do you see that really playing out, particularly in Georgia?
Georgia, we're going to do very... Sorry, you are asking me, right?
Yes, I'm asking you, Mr. Reddy.
Okay. In Georgia, even though there was a little bit fluctuation after Trump came here about 2 weeks back, one mistake he made was he was criticizing the popular governor of Georgia, who is a Republican, our Brian Kemp. That took a lot of people into a kind of a backside. They said, no, this is not the person I want to vote, kind of thing. But that is all personal things only for time being. These things are, at the end of the day, everybody is looking for what we are getting out of these elections, who is going to be better for us economically. Not this abortion issue, gun control, those kind of things anymore. People are worried about our prices are really doubled. If you go to the grocery stores in the last 4 years, the prices have been doubled. People could not afford. Second thing is these illegal immigrants who are crossing the border, they are going all over the country, and also some of them are even committing crimes. Nobody can hide it. And that's why the Biden
Sure.
campaign and the Harris
You know,
campaign.
Narendra Reddy,
Go
I
ahead.
absolutely understand the issues that you're listing out, but I don't know how much of, policies versus personality in that competition, who's working. But quickly, before I wrap this discussion up, my last question to Josh. Josh, day 2 of the DNC will now see the Obamas speaking. Of course, all eyes will be on Michelle and Barack Obama. But there have been questions raised in the past as well as to, why they didn't come out at first in support of Kamala Harris. Even when that video of the phone call was out, it seemed like a very artificial, cosmetic video. How do you see that really now? A lot of questions, a lot of doubts still being in place, even as Obamas do address the DNC day 2.
Well, that's news to me. I haven't heard about any of these doubts or questions. The Obamas came out, very soon after Harris was presumptively going to become the nominee to support her. I mean, I think, everyone who's addicted to X or Twitter or watching cable news all the time, it feels like 4 or 5 hours is an eternity. But the reality is that very quickly, everybody came together to say that Harris should be the next nominee. As far as, your description of the Obamas' support, I think that the key here is that the Democratic Party could do something that the Republican Party could not, which is say we can do our team effort with a leader who is not the person who is at the top of the ticket. We can reorganize and be revitalized by new energy. We are not a cult of personality who only has one leader. And so, I think even if, let's say for a second that some of the Democratic leaders were hesitant to endorse Kamala so quickly, and maybe there were a couple, the fact that everybody is on board just goes to show that we do have the ability to change course. What you're going to see, to the contrast with the GOP, is another 5 to 10 years at least of infighting. They will never be able to get rid of Donald Trump peacefully internally because they are a cult of personality. So I think the Democrats should be held against the standard.
Okay, Josh, let's see how this really moves forward.
Yeah.
3 more days left. Let's see how this really works for the Democrats. I'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much to both of you, Josh McLaurin and Narendra Reddy, for joining us on Mirror Now and sharing your perspective. Thank you very much.